Welcome to Roof to Curb, presented by Custom One Homes and Pull Tab Sports. I'm your host, Todd Plifka, Custom One Homes Principal and CEO. Our goal is to inspire, educate, connect, and simplify the home, landscape, and design experience. Guest today, Dave Zweber, founder and principal of Dave Charlez Designs, and Lisa Robbins, founder and co-owner of Brick and Linen. So welcome, guys. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
So we'll talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about each other and your businesses as far as what you do and what you bring to the table and the spaces that you operate in. So women first,
Wow.
Lisa. So if you want to give us a little spiel on what is Brick and Linen.
Yeah, well, Brick and Linen is relatively new. We are we're into our third year of business. We rebranded. I was a solo interior designer for a while. But we rebranded in 2020, right on the edge of COVID there. And it is something that I've wanted to do for a long time, is to kind of expand our brand and to be not only full service interior design, but my husband is an architectural designer. And so he joined the business. And then also a longtime goal of mine was to have a shop. And so now we are 2 shops and 2 studios and hoping to grow from there.
What is in said shop? And why is that in Stillwater? What would I find there if I walk in there?
So what we say is that our shops are a postcard to what we do and to our aesthetic. And so we have home decor, we have lifestyle things, down to jewelry, anything to kind of draw you in, and just, you kind of get the feel of what Brick and Linen is about. And that is kind of just creating a warm, cozy, friendly aesthetic. We're kind of layered in modern and traditional details. And so this is kind of a fun way to inspire our clients, and to hopefully clients that we don't know we even have. They just come into our shop and then they discover who we are and perhaps maybe want to work with us.
Yeah, it's excellent. So located off of Main Street in downtown Stillwater.
Yes.
And located off of Wayzata Boulevard.
Lake Street,
Lake
Wayzata.
Street in Wayzata.
Yep, exactly.
Right off the frontage. Good lake view.
Great locations.
Probably best retail real estate locations in all of Minnesota. Both of them, Stillwater and Wayzata, are fantastic locations. So
thank you.
You've got a talent for picking out the right spot for sure.
Well, I roamed a lot of corners in Minneapolis, let me tell you, when I tried to find the first one, and kind of stuck my finger up in the air looking for hey, is this it? Is this it? And then it's really funny because I get the question on why Stillwater a lot. And I'm drawn to the community because I've planted my roots on the east side, and I've always loved a great downtown. Good
restaurants, good shopping.
Good restaurants, good shopping,
good
stuff
vibe
to do on the weekend. So I just thought, how cool is it to have something really fun to stumble upon, that it's not a drive to destination, so people can just kind of roam by and see who we are.
Yeah, both Stillwater and Wayzata. You walk through either one of those communities on a weekend and the sidewalks are packed, and people are just looking for fun things to drop into. So I think your location choice is absolutely superb.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I've been in both locations. Warm, inviting. Our clients have enjoyed it at Custom One Homes and Custom One Renovation. So Lisa and Joseph, you guys are doing a great job, and
appreciate that.
We wish you the best in keeping those boutiques open. Right? So let's switch gears. David,
absolutely.
What you're the founder and principal of Dave Charlez Designs. You've drawn and created a lot of homes in the Twin Cities market. Not only in the Twin Cities market, but outside of it as well. So let's hear a little bit about DCD and what you guys got cooking over there.
Yeah. So we've been in business a little over 10 years now. So started just coming out of the backside of the recession, the Great Recession, and hoping we're not on our way into the next one. Talk is that we are, but still seems like things are quite healthy out there, which is great to see. But we started that back in 2012, actually, was the year that we began. I had worked in the industry for a custom home builder starting way back in 1998. So I kind of cut my teeth in the industry, working for a builder, kind of getting to know the business and understanding what makes everything tick. Took a break from the industry for a while during the recession, as we all did, and came back strong when I saw a little peak of light coming through that this market was on its way back, and it's been a unbelievable ride ever since. So we really started here in the Twin Cities, working with custom builders, both west side and east side of town. And in the last few years, we've really branched out, and now we're doing quite a bit of work out of this market. So we've got projects going anywhere from Dallas in the south to on the East Coast. We're doing stuff out in Virginia and Maryland. We're working quite a bit in Michigan, down to Missouri, and as far west as Montana. So it's fun because every market's got a little bit different beat to it and different styles. So we have a lot of fun with that because, you can get a little bit stuck in a path if you're just working in one market all the time. And it's fun to, experiment with new ideas, new designs, and we get an opportunity to do that the more we branch out.
Yeah. So you've got architectural design. So you're taking somebody's desire, needs, wants, and wishes, as we'd say at Custom One Homes, of course. Yeah. It starts on a blank piece of paper. Yeah. And then you guys take it from there.
Right. So, working with the builder like you, Todd, at Custom One Homes, usually there's some conversations that were had prior to us becoming involved. So the builder has met with the client, has talked about maybe some different ideas, maybe identified a location, which I think is always important. And that really provides that initial spark for the project of, hey, this is a unique home site. It's got interesting topography. It's got great view lines. So sitting down with the client, trying to figure out what it is exactly that home site can give us for a direction on the project. People may come to that meeting and think they don't have any ideas put together, but when you start adding, asking some of those leading questions, everybody's got kind of an idea what they'd like to have. And it's really our job as designers to pull that information out of them, ask them the right questions so that they can really feel like they're part of the process. I love to do a lot of hand sketching early on in the process. And as we're asking those questions, I'm sketching things out. And all of a sudden they start to see their house come alive. And when they see that, then their ideas really start sparking. And we always say we like to hear what you don't like just as much as what you do like. Right. And if we can get that, instant feedback through that sketching design charrette process, that way we're not wasting a whole bunch of time going down a path that's incorrect. They're helping us through that process, and they get very, very excited. When they start to see their ideas coming to life right on the front end, we get excited about the project, and we can maybe push them in one direction if there's something that we're seeing as an opportunity, rather than just sitting down with a list of items that we need to add to the house, showing them, hey, if we did it a little bit differently than what you're thinking, see what opportunity this provides us, and they get excited about it. So really, really fun process.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna go down some questions, and Lisa and Dave chime in as you see fit. But what inspires you guys? So you guys are definitely motivated by design. You're motivated by things that you've seen and done. Or maybe even things that haven't been done, right? So trying to push the limits, challenge some things, whether it be from your design or for the client. So Lisa, you want to start with
sure.
What inspires you? How do you get to where you're at?
Oh gosh, yeah. So while Dave was talking, I was thinking about his process and then how that kind of flows right into our process, because I get inspired by seeing Dave's drawings or architectural drawings. So when a client comes to me, they've already been through the design process with your team, and then they're excited to layer in what this is really going to look like. And so architecture inspires me. And so I want to exploit like the big things in the plan that are like, hey, this is a really awesome detail, this fireplace wall, or the entry of the home, or this bar. There's so many individual details of a house that you can just kind of zone in on and then talk to the client. What do you want to see here? What kind of materials do you like? I also ask a lot of questions. A lot of my first meeting is just talking about the likes and the dislikes. I think a lot of designers they might kind of cruise by that because as designers, we have so many of our ideas that flow right away. Right. We're like, I can see this and I can do this. And whatever. We just sort of hit the ground running. But I've always taught the designers that work with me, I'm like, you have to get in there and start programming. You got to get in there first and get into their mind and take all of those notes and learn from them and put that all into this sort of pot that we're going to access later. Because when you go through the selection process, then you can say, I picked this to show you because you told me you liked this. Right. And then you keep on drawing that out of them as you go and give them the reasons why you're making these decisions or helping them make the decisions based on their likes and the things that they were looking for, especially in that first meeting.
Yeah, I think a good example of that, Lisa, we're working with a client in Woodbury right now. Dave, you drew the house and created, it's actually going to be the Artisan Tour Home for 2024 for Custom One Homes. Right. Great client, great house, Rambler. It's going to be beautiful. Dave, you created the vision. And then Lisa, you came in and like the touches that are going into that home, back to the fireplace and staircases and just little nooks and crannies of the house that have made it really personal. We're extremely excited to build that house.
I am excited
and we get to
too.
dig it in June still. So
I know.
We're excited. So Dave, let's talk about inspirations. What inspires DCD in the last 12 years? How have you got there?
Right. There's a variety of different things that can spark inspiration on any given project. You can have somebody walk in the door and have a plumbing fixture that they really love and they don't know why they love it, but they show and they're commercial. Like, this is kind of our style. And again, our job to say, all right, that's a really cool plumbing fixture. Here's what I'm seeing in that plumbing fixture. It's got a transitional style. It's got clean lines. So are we thinking kind of a modern edge? Yeah, that's what we are. And a lot of times people have a hard time articulating what it is that they're trying to create. But if they can show, a picture's worth a thousand words. Mm-hmm. So if they have anything that they can bring to the table early on in the process to provide inspiration, it can go a long ways because it can be the simplest item that becomes the whole impetus for the project. Mm-hmm. So it's really fun. I always like to root anything that we design in historical architecture, doing things correctly. There's literally everything's been done already out there in architecture. Now it's taking the creativity of what's been done in the past and putting a new angle or a new slant on it. But the roots of architecture are still all about balance and massing and making sure that the house just feels right. You may look at it and not know why it feels right, but it really goes back to, a house doesn't need to be symmetrical to be a nice design, but it might be. But if it's not symmetrical, is it balanced? Does it feel right? Do the windows play together with the other items on the house?
And details.
So just go into that making sure process. That you're really doing a thoughtful job of pulling all of those details together and making sure that everything just really makes sense and that you're not doing anything that 5 years down the road, it's really trendy today, but it's going to be something they kick themselves for later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everything in architecture has trends and will come in and out of style, but if it's rooted in good architectural design, it'll feel good and it'll be timeless.
Absolutely. So Dave, I think you're reading my mind because the next question I have for you too is trend or good design, right?
Yeah.
So
yes.
I was out in one of the builder shows in the years past. I don't know if it was in Vegas or Orlando where it was, but sat through a conversation with a couple designers of like, nope, that's trend. Trend fades. It goes away, right? Yep. But good design is timeless. So back to your story of, good design's been going on for hundreds of years, right? And architecture that we see over maybe in Europe and Spain and all these different fun areas, right? So Lisa, let's talk about what do you think is trend today versus what do you think is good design that is timeless?
Man. Okay. So these are amazing questions. I just got to tell you, because trend for me is something that I struggle with even as a designer. Because when a client comes to me and they say, I don't want it to be trendy, I'm like, but you want it to be current. Yeah. But I really don't want something that's going to go out of trend. I'm like, okay. So, and then I even had a client that say, oh, I just don't want a white kitchen because that's totally trendy. And I said, actually, you know what? A white kitchen is the only thing that I have been doing consecutively for 25 years.
Right. Timeless.
And so, exactly. So what one person might think is trendy is actually another person's timeless. So it's all in the eye of the beholder. So I try to just dispel when I do design what is trendy and go with what the client loves. Because we all know wood trends in and out. Light woods,
colors of species
dark woods, species of woods, all the things. And right now we're going through a resurgence of wood. And it's now acceptable to do red oak. And, you know, these things are coming back again. And it's just like, oh my gosh, I couldn't have sold white oak to anybody in the early 90s or, you know, whatever. So it's just doing what you love and making sure that it is maybe a mix of some trend or things that could maybe trend, things that are easily replaceable. So light fixtures will definitely trend in and out.
The jewelry of the home.
The jewelry of the home. I mean, things that, stay with, we call it the built finishes, or the finishes that go into the building of your home. Make sure that those are not as trendy. And if they are, if you want to do a pattern tile and you want to commit to it, then you're committing to it. And and usually the client is like, nope, I love it. I want it. And then you're like, okay, let's go for it.
Personality.
Let's do this color of cabinet. Let's have some fun. Let's, and it's all about a client's willingness to risk.
Sure.
Don't you guys feel like if you use high quality materials and high quality cabinetry, hardware, all of those things tend to hold their timelessness longer, because you can just look at it and say, you know what, that was done well. That isn't something I'm just going to tear out.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I've seen lately that the trend is, as long as your house is spot on to the decade that it was built in, that's the new trend. So
I like that.
If you can buy a house from the 1960s, as long as all of the furnishings in the home, all of the carpet, the colors, the appliances, everything play well to the decade that it was built in, that's the trend today, which I think is really, really interesting.
It's almost like the vehicle conversation, right?
Yeah.
If you buy the 67 Camaro, and you make it 67 Camaro, it's good. It's if you try to make that
homage to that era.
Yeah, if you try to make a 67 Camaro a 2004 Trans Am, it's not the same, right?
Exactly.
So Dave, maybe that's same down the same path, right? Some you're seeing some trends, you see some good design, you got some timeless things, and maybe the monochrome decades that passed us of the 80s that were oak and the 90s that were clear maple and those kind of things. To me, those are trend. Yeah. Right. Yep. Now you see good design that is mixing and matching woods and paints and even metals and some other, organic products. But talk a little bit more about trend and versus good design of what you're seeing today, where you're like, I don't know.
Yeah. So there's the conversation that goes to the materials that go into the design. And then there's some design trends as far as what's happening in architecture and in the layouts of the house. So I would say one thing that we've seen a lot of, and it probably started maybe 4 or 5 years ago, is just this whole idea of, you know what, we're not going to entertain in Minnesota, obviously a climate where we've got lower levels. And back around the late 90s, early 2000s, everybody put these huge bars in their lower level and put a ton of money into them. And the whole idea was, we're going to have a party down there. Friends are going to come over. We're going to hang out in the basement. I think what people realized was it's hard to get a party to move down to the lower level.
Yeah, and those were walk behind bars, not walk up bars.
Correct.
Not serving areas, but they were full-fledged walk behind bars hosting how many people?
Yeah, right. And now people have realized that, you know what, people come in the front door, they immediately head to the kitchen and everybody parks there. And it's kind of always been that way.
Right.
So what can we do on that main level to really aid in that whole entertaining a large group. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing bars now that used to be in the lower level move to the main level. Mm-hmm. We're actually seeing a ton of slab on grade coming back. People completely eliminating that lower level. It used to be in Minnesota, you had to have a walkout basement. You couldn't hardly sell a lot that wasn't a walkout basement. Now we're actually getting more demand for flatter lots where people can come right from the main level out to an outdoor entertaining area, big patio space, big outdoor kitchens, outdoor fireplaces, fire pits, pools. Yeah. And then having those inside amenities like a bar, how does that relate to those outdoor spaces that are happening? And I would say that's the single biggest trend that I've seen in the last few years.
I think that's a dead on point, David. I think the Twin Cities market in general was slow to accept, right? And then now you've got more people that have more second homes. Maybe it's in Scottsdale, Naples, and those kind of lifestyles.
Right.
They're slab on grade product.
Right.
So you might see a sprawling 3, 4, 5, 6,000 square foot home in those areas. Now people in the Twin Cities are like, that works for me pretty good, right?
Yeah, right.
Do you think that's part of kitchens having 2 islands?
Could be. Yeah. Yeah.
That's another design that's going on more. Like you really didn't see 2 islands in the past.
Yeah. And that's all because, you have one that everybody's congregating around, and then you can actually cook and prep at another one.
Right.
Because we're like, hey, we need to solve this issue. Everybody's around my island.
Yeah.
Get over there. And then you think that, you think that they're going to go over to a kitchen table when they don't. Yeah. So I think it's awesome to have 2 islands.
Yeah. So Lisa, Dave, what's hot, what's not?
What's hot, what's not?
Hot, what's not, right? So maybe 2 things that are going on in 2023 of what's hot. What do I got to have if I'm going down and I'm considering building or remodeling today?
I'll put a sub question in there. And this is for both of you.
Yeah.
Okay, coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
Coming into COVID, home offices were gone. We don't see them anymore at all, right? Going into COVID. Now all of a sudden everybody wants a home office again. Is that going to stick around? What do you guys think?
Ooh, that's a good one. I see a lot of home office and a lot of, people wanting more amenities in their home office so that they don't even have to leave the home office. They can kind of barricade themselves off to the point where it's all sustainable, where there's a refrigerator, a microwave, a bathroom connected to the home office so that whoever's in there can seriously be part of the family, but not have to go out to the kitchen.
Yep. Sure. It's the Don Draper Madman office with the couch that you can take an afternoon siesta.
Yeah, I think to your point though, Dave, COVID is definitely, it changed, right? Yeah. It changed workforce, it changed commute, it changed lifestyle. And during that time, I believe that we saw a lot more of niche living spaces coming back in the home. Right. You definitely saw people cohabitating work and lifestyle out of their home, whether it be 1 or two adults. And you had education now being performed in the home, which had grown, right? So a lot of these different changes. Not only that, but then you saw sport courts, workout facilities, pools, outdoor living spaces in Minnesota really progressed from that time, 2024 or 2019, whatever it was. So I do think that trend is there. People still want to entertain. They want to entertain on the same level. You don't want to have all right, the guy's got to go downstairs to the bar, right? The women stay up here. So those days are gone, and you see much more cohabitating, if you will, in larger spaces that have flexibility of 6 people to 20 people, whatever it might be. But it's really interesting to watch how it goes. And you guys get to see it on the first side of it of, you get to create it and draw it and listen to people's needs and wants. Right. So,
and I think the product manufacturers have helped us get to that point with some of the newer products that are out there. Things like bifolding doors that take a screen porch and now opens it up completely to the rest of your main level. You're not isolating yourself out in a porch. Now it's just flowing together with the kitchen and the rest of the main level. Yeah, that's a good one. Things like the drop-down screens. Drop-down screens, drop-down
not only the screen, but what did they add to it? The vinyl, right?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting, just the layers of it and why they do it.
Yeah.
I think you can use it seasonality. And now that screen porch that you used to use 4 months out of the year is now a 11-month year.
So it's better return on your investment. Now you've got bars, grills, fireplaces, all those things going
absolutely.
in.
And pool houses, a ton of pool houses. But I think it all goes back to blurring that line between indoors and out.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Just that in that transition of space between here's my house, here's my sun porch, here's my screen porch, here's my patio, lanai, terrace, pool house. And so it's a more of a cohesive indoor space.
Yeah, we're seeing on the renovation side, we're starting to see, or have been seeing, a lot more in-laws or parents moving back into the home and creating spaces so that parents can cohabitate with grandkids, be around their kids more, all those kind of things, whether even for a short period of time during the year or full time. But we're definitely seeing those spaces coming back quite a bit.
We're seeing dual masters a lot.
Really?
Main level dual masters, especially in larger retreat homes where it's a family compound, and mom and dad might live there, but we've also got others that come up. We'll have large sleeping quarters for bunk room for all the grandkids upstairs, but mom and dad and grandma and grandpa both have a master suite on the main level.
It's a great value play.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, gives you ultimate flexibility.
So we talked about what's hot. Talked a little bit when we talk about what's not. Let's talk about what's missing. So when we're seeing, Dave, you mentioned products of manufacturers and what's out there and all the positivity of things that have come through, big doors, vinyl screens, cooking appliances have taken off, and all these other devices that come into those kitchen spaces have been phenomenal. What do you guys think is missing though from the industry and product offerings that could solve some requests you're getting from clients?
Gosh, I think that we're still a little bit limited on some more durable finishes. We're kind of getting stuck in this LVT, LVP thing where it's just like, I would love to see something else come into play where it doesn't have to be wood, it doesn't have to be as, maybe it's bringing in more commercial materials into residential.
For sure.
Because we're kind of getting stuck. You kind of go back to the same things over and over when it comes to those LVTs and Ps and things. So I think that there's definitely a space in the market to bring more creative materials. And I think it could come from commercial into residential world.
Yeah, I think
they're modern and they're clean. And that's a lot of types of what more people are looking for.
I see that in the exterior as well as the interior.
Claddings.
This whole idea of having a natural wood exterior is really popular, especially in the modern designs, and everybody loves that look. But nobody wants the continual maintenance that a product like cedar would have on the exterior. Yeah. There's been a slow growth in that area from product manufacturers, but I don't think it's nearly where it needs to be yet. The next manufacturer that comes up with a product that emulates cedar and it does it in a high quality way at an affordable price is going to have a corner on the market. That's probably the number one product that I looked for when I went to the Builders Show this year. And there was a little bit of it out there, but there's a long way to go in that regard.
Yeah, you're definitely starting to see more competitors enter that segment of the industry for sure. Yeah.
I think a lot of people too are looking for more ingenuity in sound absorption for their home. I get that a lot more. Yeah. Like, how are we gonna, drown out the kids' noise or the TVs or the between the floors or, and how not to really increase the cost of your project by all of the, integral building parts, but maybe make acoustics beautiful.
Right.
Panels.
Which is difficult in these wide open designs that, there's no walls to knock down the sound from space to space.
When you have all these hard surfaces, right? It's countertops, floorings, windows, more glass.
Right. We're probably 20 years into the open concept design. That's where I foresee a change coming in the next couple of years. I think rooms are going to become a little bit more compartmentalized. We're already starting to see it a little bit. I think it's really fun. It provides a completely new design direction from an architectural designer standpoint. You can do a lot of fun things in a contained space that is a little bit more challenging in a wide open design.
Yes.
So I'm kind of excited for that trend, and it'll be interesting to see if it keeps trending in that direction.
I agree 100% because I really think that there's a trend coming back to renovating historical homes and the allure of compartmentalized spaces and what that can feel like in terms of cabinetry details, wall details. in open concept, it is really hard as a designer to insert personality.
Right.
Because like I said before, you get your moments, you get the fireplace moment, your kitchen, but you don't have that fully, that's why we all grab onto a powder bath, because there's so much like that can be wall space to work with. Right there. Like you could walk in and just be like, bam, I got the ceiling, the walls, I'm right here. I got all the, plumbing, and it's just a high impact space. So I think it's really hard to design in open concepts, especially to have a little bit of implied compartmentalization. And I know, Dave, in your plans, you guys are very good at that. How, if it's an open area, how you're kind of inserting maybe a wine bar that still keeps it open, or,
changing a ceiling height. Or,
for sure. Ceiling heights, flooring,
or transitions into spaces where it's cased openings and, just so it's not a straightforward.
Gives it some separation, right? Without having some big wall in the way.
Exactly.
Switching gears to the client, right? So we all work with a lot of clients. We all work with the psychology behind that of trying to give them the best experience, trying to get them to participate in a way that speaks to success for them. And that's a lot of what we all provide, right? Is like, we get judged on that. We get measured by that of how we go to perform. So what's your recommendation if I'm a client listening and saying, hey, I'm close to going down this path. I want to go down this path, but I'm really trying to figure out, how do I participate as a client to make sure that I get the great experience as well? Because it's not just on Dave, it's not just on Lisa, it's just not on Todd, right? How they participate is extremely important. So Lisa, what do you recommend to the client when they come into Brick and Linen, and say, hey, we're going to deliver a great experience for you. This is how we'd like you to open up or participate in whatever fashion you communicate. What would that be?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when I first meet a client and I welcome them into my studio, it becomes a matter of disarming. So we just want them to feel super comfortable around us. We're designers, but they always think that we're a little bit judgy, a little bit like they have to put on an air. They have to not be themselves. And what we're trying to get them to do is really open up and be exactly who they are.
For sure.
And spend some more time getting to understand their personality. I mean, when they come in, they're ready to design. They're like, let's see materials. Let's do this thing. We don't have a lot of time here. Let's get going. And I have to kind of slow them down and say, let's talk about your family. Let's talk about, who's all going to be living here. Do you have kids? Do you have pets? Are you allergic to materials? I mean, there's a whole lot that needs to go into just starting to get to know them. And so I say, don't skip the steps. You can't date somebody by going to let's get married, you know?
Sure.
And so for me, getting to know a client and being able to design for them comes from getting to know them first. And we all love those repeated clients, the ones that were like, hey, I get to do a second house with you, or I actually get to renovate the house that I did before, So those relationships are when it really gets good. Because then you're like, okay, I know you. I know what makes you tick, and you can tell their look on their face and what they're feeling and all those kind of things. So, I always strive for seeing that as my end result. This is not just a one-time client. I want them to come back. I want them to think this is more of a relationship than a one-time, and to feel comfortable enough with me to say when they don't like something. Because I think
that's a big point right there, Lisa, where people are maybe intimidated, or they're like, I don't know, Lisa's the expert and I shouldn't challenge, I shouldn't, question, right?
Yeah. And the worst thing for me too is when they say, oh no, you just do it, you decide. I'm like, no, you don't get around it that easy. Yeah. So it's like, no, you really need to make a decision here. I'm going to inform you. And then if they really want me to push the yes or no button, I do. I'm like, you got to do this. And then we go from there. But I really want to give them the chance to respond and to participate.
Yeah, so. I always say that the worst feedback you can ever get from a client when you're revealing a new design is, yeah, I like it. If they say that, there's something wrong. If you don't hear the word, I love it.
Yeah, you're not there yet.
You're not there yet. Yeah. So I can normally tell in the first few seconds of when I show a design if I hit it or if I didn't hit it. we always hope to.
Body language is a beautiful thing, right?
100%. So until I hear I love it, we're not done with the process. So, in most cases, I would say we've got a high batting average of hitting it early on in the process, but there's always those clients that are a little bit more challenging. And if you don't hit it right away, it's pulling it out of them. What didn't we hit it on?
Right.
And trying to find out what it is that makes them tick. And it might be something that was never discussed, and that I always say that's our fault. We didn't ask enough questions early on in the process to pull that out of them early. But it is, talking to them, asking them all of those questions, pulling it out of them, and then keep designing until they feel it's something they love, because it'll be like pulling teeth the rest of the process if they don't love it.
Yeah. And I have a favorite line too, saying that, you know what? It's finishes, not feelings.
Yeah. No,
so if I put something in front of them and they say, I really don't like it, that doesn't reflect personally upon me, because there's people that really feel like if I say, Elisa, she's going to get start to cry. I'm like, no.
How many times have you cried?
No. Behind closed doors. Yeah. But.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. We always tell people we're not selling jeans, right?
Yeah.
It's a big undertaking. It's a big investment. Mm-hmm. It's a big process.
Yeah.
We want you to be in a really good spot with it. Mm-hmm. Right. So it gains that importance. It deserves that importance. It deserves that feedback. It deserves that interaction. Those are all really great points from both of you. How about common mistakes? Do you see something that goes on with client, and we're all tweaking processes throughout, every month and trying to improve and get better. But do you see common mistakes from maybe a client that kind of goes down a path that it's just not working? So what is that? Mm-hmm. Is there a commonality there amongst that behavior of a client, you think?
One thing jumps out to me right away, and it's a conversation that we try to have early on in the process, and something that we really beat on, and that's that whole conversation of budget versus expectations and what you're looking for. I always tell clients the easiest part of our job is designing something that's going to blow your hair back. It's very, very easy to design something super cool, and they're going to get really excited about it. Doing that and hitting their budget is the challenge that we're all trying to hit. And in this market of, inflation has been ramping up probably even faster in our industry than in most industries. And taking the challenges of budget, balancing it with their expectations, and just knowing that what we're going to do is we're going to give you the most home, the best design we can for the budget that you're wishing to spend. So being as honest as possible early on in the process on what your real budget is. What are you willing to maybe splurge on? What things that aren't quite as important to you? And trying to pull out all of those high impact things and making sure those are key elements of the design, and letting some of the other things that aren't quite as important fall to the wayside. And, the challenge of our entire industry, and I think if you asked anybody in it right now, is balancing that budget.
Yeah, without a doubt. People, David, you're in that first conversation all the time with us of, all right, what's your budget, right? Yeah. And I think the challenge is a lot of times you're using yesterday's data to create tomorrow's budget.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to put it.
So that concept of it, of when you think of appraisals and you think of houses that are on the market, when was the house built? When was it priced? How long did it take to build? And you're like, I don't know. I saw this on Zillow, for instance, and it came out to X dollars per square foot. Just build me a house for that square foot. Mm-hmm. But here's my inspiration. Yeah. And the inspiration typically is more than what that budget allows. Mm-hmm. Right. So I do think
typically is putting it lightly.
Yeah. I do think we all have that challenge, and we all desire to do an extremely good job for client of meeting that expectation. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the expectation and budget has to get, spoken to, sometimes more aggressively than others. Yeah. So, even down those lines of budget, Lisa, what do you do to help a client stay on budget?
Yeah, good one. I think a lot of clients have FOMO, fear of missing out. Okay. So when they come and they're kind of like a kid in the candy store, like they want to add this here, they want to add that there, you kind of listen to them and go, okay, what's really important right now? You guys are going to be here for how long? forever. We're for as long. I'm like, okay, so what do we need to get in here right now to make sure that you guys don't have to do this later? Is usually my way of helping a client with budget, and then helping them sort of see the end result that doesn't have to be built. So as an interior designer, you're walking them through, hey, you're going to have, a great rug here, in painting the picture bigger than just what they're seeing in black and white on the page. So kind of coloring in between the lines and saying, okay, you're going to have, pulling through a story, and helping them see themselves live there and what that full picture looks like. And not everything has to be like, okay, we have to make sure that we have wainscoting here and ceiling details here. And, and letting some things be the star of the show and then others just being supporting cast members.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, a lot of people look at a ceiling like, we have to decorate it. We got to add beams. We got to add shiplap. We got to do. But like, let's pick one ceiling. Let's do that. Really great.
Focal point.
And then, focal points. And what's is the great room ceiling your favorite? Let's do that now. So
where are you going to spend your time? What motivates you? What inspires you? How do you start your day? How do you end your day? All those kind of fun questions.
Biggest impact.
David, how about staying on budget? You guys have even tweaked process to help, with the client and bring awareness to it, right? So
right.
Speak to that.
Yeah. And I would say technology has really, really helped us out in our industry in the last 15 years or so, with the advent of 3D technologies and rendering softwares, and being able to show someone that, where we're talking about all these ideas and we're putting them down in 2D and we're sketching some ideas out. But what really ends up selling a client in the end is when they get the pretty picture, 3D fly around rendering of the outside. They can see that, hey, we took the inspiration that you had given us. We kept it on budget. We designed this house to be absolutely beautiful, and they can actually see what it's going to look like in the end. And they're not taking the leap of faith that people 20, 25 years ago had to do when someone set a set of blueprints down in front of them. And for a lot of people, it's like reading a foreign language when they look at it. Mm-hmm. So I think technology has really, really helped us out in that regard, and it's getting better every day. We can show them both exterior and interior exactly what their house is going to look like, and they can see that, hey, we don't need this entire wall to be marble. We can put a splash of it here, and it looks phenomenal. And they don't have to, stretch to know what that's going to look like, or have a fear that it won't look good, because they can look at it and see it in real life, what it's going to look like. So that's something that we've been doing a lot of, and we've kind of been on the forefront of those 3D technologies early on. It's really helped our business. Mm-hmm. And we're just excited to see where that keeps going in this industry, because the whole idea of walking your house virtually to scale, we're on the cusp of that.
Mm-hmm. So whole VR experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. So all of those things are we've got a lot of them here today, and there's even more coming very soon.
It's interesting to watch multiple manufacturers have visualizers, DreamWorks, VR type exercises where people can truly see it compared to that blueprint. That blueprint, to your point, David, causes confusion with 90% of people, how about best products? What do we see out there that you're like, hey, you'd be foolish not to incorporate this product or products into your home renovation type project?
Oh, wow. You know what? Kind of going back to non-trendy, I would say that best products in my world are, making sure that we have enough natural materials versus engineered or manufactured materials, because you can over manufacture material or house, but you have to have some of those natural materials too to balance it all out. So while I mentioned LVT and LVP, of course, they have their place and they're good. They're good in some areas of your home where you want to keep costs down or have increased durability and those kind of things. So I just hope that more manufacturers pop up and more designs pop up in the LVT and LVP world. Mm-hmm. So, just having those products and having them keep on looking better and better and better is exciting. And being able to stand behind them and go, I like it. Do you like it?
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny, Lisa. I was just thinking of eating, right?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't build a house with processed food. right? So it's processed food versus natural product. And when you eat, it's always good to have fresh fruits or vegetables, right?
Right on.
Like it's a different dining experience based on the food that is being prepared. So I don't know if that's a good comparable, but that's where my mind went with this. Like it. You wouldn't want to build a house with a box of Cheez-Its.
Yeah, right. That's so funny. Yeah, no, we're seeing a resurgence of like quartzite and more natural materials and countertops coming back, or that balancing quartz, granite, quartzite, marble. It doesn't all have to be, when we look at manufactured materials, we're like, oh, look at all this ingenuity behind it. It's microbial and it won't scratch and it won't dent, all the things that we tote about all these manufactured materials. And then all of a sudden we're removing all the character and all the natural of the house. And so, what I really, really love though are thin porcelain panels right now. So going to manufactured material, but having it look a little bit more natural, removing grout lines.
Where are you using those? So the porcelain panels, where do you see
fireplaces, showers, cladding, different, architectural details with them. But yeah, I think the majority of it is fireplaces and showers.
That's great. David, best products. Can't miss. Gotta have it.
I always, if you're going to splurge in one spot on a house, I'd do it on the roof. And some people might disagree with that, but you can go with a very, very simple structure on the exterior. If you put a high impact roof on it, you drive by that house and you're like, that is a winner when you look at it. So doing things like a shake roof on a house, or a standing seam metal, or a tile roof. I really am starting to push those products a lot and keep the box, the house itself, the foundation a little simpler, save some money there and put it up on the roof. When you look at the exterior of a house, the roof makes up roughly a third of what you see when you look at the outside of the house, and your eye tends to go right to it. And if you put a cheap asphalt shingle that doesn't have a lot of depth to it, you just instantly look at it, doesn't have the quality, appearance, and feel to it. So that's one thing that I would say moving forward, I'm really starting to push more and more is a high quality roofing product. And they've been around forever. It's not a new trend, certainly.
For sure.
But it is something that I think over the last 20, 30 years has really kind of gone by the wayside from budgetary concerns. And I think we can make a resurgence by simplifying the rest of the architecture and going with just high quality materials in general.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting. Ceilings got ignored for a long time. Then ceilings became more impact in that fifth wall piece. I think it's amazing to watch the technology that has gone into appliances. Yeah, I really do. And people have to interact with appliances every day. So I just think the product offerings and plumbing. Plumbing for sure.
Automated plumbing for sure. I think COVID, everybody didn't want to touch a faucet, and now that's transpired. Now everybody in their house doesn't want to touch a faucet. So I think that, or
how about the ability to talk to Alexa to pour out 4 cups of water, 8 ounces each at 110 degrees.
Amazing.
What is going on?
Another thing that popped in my head while Dave was talking was about roofs, and a product that I just heard about and something to maybe keep our eyes out for is called a Tesla roof. We're working on a design where a client actually brought that to us, and integrating solar technology inside it's probably old news to you guys, but not really part of my everyday world. But I thought that was really amazing.
Yeah.
There's a cost obviously associated, and you have to do the math to figure out how.
Right. It's a phenomenal product.
It's amazing.
I think there's still some wrinkles and challenges to work out in it, but when it becomes the norm, which I believe it will at some point, it looks amazing. Right. It's got an obvious sustainable story behind it. It's got payback. It's got checks all the boxes. So
it's kind of like large screen TVs that are just going to keep on getting better and cheaper.
I think so. I think it is. Yeah. And that's what happens with any new product.
There'll be competitors. There'll be better competitors in that space as well. We talked a lot about build. Let's talk a little bit about renovate. Is that process any different? How do you help client navigate through the renovation side versus the build side? Similarities, differences? What's your opinion on that?
Absolutely. Well, so I've been working on renovations as, foundational part of my career. And, it's just a puzzle, and helping the client figure out how to go about the puzzle, what's important, what's not, how we tie into new and old and, all of those things. But really creating columns around what we're touching and what we're not, and helping people develop boundaries. Because you just get that whole, project just blew up on them, and then they scope creep, and we should have just blew this thing up. And to keep the client constantly in check is reminding them of the goal, reminding them that we're not touching these things, and keeping them on track.
The start and stop, right?
The start and the stop. Yeah. But I personally love renovations. I think it's exciting to go into a house that has so much character, and we're not removing everything too. Like it used to be just, rip out everything, tear and replace, and to really look at the, the detail. Maybe it's a fireplace. Maybe it's, some of those cool architectural details that you get back to of like the 1950s, 60s, those really kind of cool houses. And you're like, hey, let's keep this. I really like this. And I think as a designer, when you reinforce into somebody, like, it's okay if we keep this, and you don't have to be on trend. You don't have to be like your neighbors. Your house can have character. Leave this part. And then they feel like, okay, well, if you're accepting it, I think I'm cool with it too. So it's just all, helping coach, I feel.
For sure.
Yeah.
David, anything different in your guys' process when someone comes for, a new build versus renovation? How do you handle that?
Yeah. I used to kind of shy away from renovations and really, focused more on new construction. That's been changing in the last couple of years. And I think the single biggest change from our standpoint, and why I've been more open to it now, is, again, going back to technologies that are available now that weren't previously. I used to hate going in and measuring an as-built house. I mean, you can spend as much time measuring an as-built house as it would for me to design a whole brand new house. If you want to do a really, really accurate, good job doing it, now with the advent of technology, I can walk in there with my LiDAR scanner on my phone. I can scan the whole interior of a house, have a 3D model in 24 hours available to me that I can start my design process. New construction, it's like we're creating the puzzle. And on a renovation, we're taking somebody else's puzzle and putting it back together again, which is a fun challenge. And I love doing them now with the advent of, hey, I've got something that's 100% accurate, that has all of the windows measured exactly at the right heights. It's got all of the trim and the details and everything that makes that place special, all in a model. I didn't have to do anything from a measurement standpoint. It just makes our process, we can jump right into the creative part of it, which is what we love doing. So I'm all about renovations now, and I never was in the past.
Yeah. Share that tool again. What's it called?
Canvas is one of them. There's several of them that are out there right now.
Okay.
But there's a product called Canvas. And phenomenal technology, super easy to use, and big supporter of it.
Good tip.
Yeah. That's great. Let's talk about a couple things that are somewhat appendages or something that complements and finishes out good design. Landscaping. So Dave, maybe start off with, when we're building a house, we talked about bringing outdoor in. We talked about all these other spaces. How important do you think it is to have a good landscape design that complements what's going on?
Incredibly important. Yeah. If you don't do a nice job with your landscaping, you can have a beautiful house and it just falls flat. Landscaping, I talked earlier about balance. Landscaping is part of that entire balance. If you've got a blank wall in a certain area and you put a tall tree that helps add some weight and some depth and dimension to an area, it can go a long way. And something that plays into landscaping is the lighting that goes along with the landscaping. Most of the time when you're entertaining, you're having people come to your house, it's in evenings. So setting the right mood with your landscape lighting, all of the landscape materials that you're adding, having the proper uplighting on them so that you can see those even when it's dark out. In the wintertime, of winter 6 months out of the year in this climate. So having materials that look good year round and some evergreen materials. I absolutely love landscaping. I think it's something that people need to carve out a space in their budget so that they don't forget that. Because a lot of times in new construction, that becomes kind of by the wayside. And you know what, we'll handle landscaping a couple of years from now. But I'd like for people to save some money in their budget to do a good job with that.
For sure. Lisa, you guys talk landscaping at all?
You know what? I have a smaller scale version of what we talk about, but, a lot of front door decoration, what's happening with planters, flower boxes, architectural details that add like that balance and that scale and things like that. So sometimes when I just add a flower box detail and draw that in, they're like, okay, now I like it because that window was a little bit smaller or, adding shutters or, just little, I don't think that falls under landscaping, but it's just kind of those little final details that help with that balance and that scale.
Without a doubt.
The old joke in our industry is that, doctors bury their mistakes, architects plant ivy.
I love it.
Too funny. Hydrangeas and all that stuff. Right. How about technology? We talked a little bit about that as far as technologies that have come up as far as visualizers and things you can show to get people to be more visual in their space. But how about true technology of, low voltage networking, security, audio, video, Wi-Fi, all those kind of things. How about that kind of conversation, or what's the expectation of the comprehensive?
Yeah, well, we rely heavily on our trade partners, right, to fully educate clients on, all their audiovisual needs and things like that. But I think getting clients queued up to have those conversations is more fun in what we do. So just saying, we'll get the question of, well, what would you do here? I'll give you enough to get you started and some things to think about as far as it pertains to lifestyle, and how you're going to be using the space and health, human, and welfare factors of lighting stairs, of thinking about how you use your house and accent lighting and lighting, niches and built-in material, are highlighting the architectural elements that we put into the design. So it's like, hey, let's add some light strips here. Let's do some LED lighting here. It doesn't all have to come out in decorative lighting. And that's where normally interior designers try to think is like, how am I going to put a decorative light fixture in this area? But I've had a recent switch into, hey, what kind of cool light fixture can I put or device into the floor to shine up or shine down or highlight
I think to your point, Lisa, lighting impacts lifestyle, right? It impacts mood. It impacts, is it
100%?
Yeah, and it comes into architectural lighting.
All lighting doesn't have to be 100% on.
Yes.
Right. So just the controls of that, the placement of it, what are you enhancing in a space, the mood that creates. Yeah.
I think there'll be a shift too outside of just standard, can lighting everywhere. I think there's kind of like a push against, I don't want the, ceiling acne, what do you call it or whatever. So it's just like adding a little bit more thoughtful detail in can lighting or apertures and trims and more technology in those items. And I think it just comes from staying educated as a designer, going to trade shows, talking to professionals about what's out there. And then all of a sudden you get jazzed about, those can lights are just awesome. Yeah, and they don't have to be super expensive.
No, and then you've got all the Lutron lighting controls and scenes and all that kind of
and shades.
Well, that's kind of what I was going to touch on. It's not just the technologies; it's tying all of those technologies together into scenes. So you walk into your master bedroom and you say romance, and the shades come down, the fireplace pops on, buried light comes on in the background. It's all about creating those different scenes and sets within a house, and all of that is possible now, and it can all be voice controlled. A lot of all of the technologies now are done wirelessly. So we want to get those, talked about early on in the process, but if you do forget them, there's still an opportunity to add them later now with a lot of the wireless technologies that are coming up. But tying all of that stuff together, I think, is when it becomes powerful, because if you want to do all those things that I just mentioned one by one, you're 10 minutes later, you've got the scene that you're looking for rather than walking in the room and snapping your fingers and you got it.
Yeah. So you want that Las Vegas hotel experience where you open the door and the drapes go open.
Cosmo right? I think it's, to your point, David, it's a security piece too. So if one of the spouses is traveling for work and the other one pulls in, it's dark. Once you hit that Wi-Fi, garage door opens, exterior lights pop on, kitchen light pops on. There's a different feel of security that comes with that too. But we're very big on technology and how that impacts the home and how people can live in the home and perform and host and holidays and parties or just quiet time, right? So it's all great. Anything else you guys would like to add? Lisa, closing comments?
It's been great to just talk to you guys about all of these great things. And yeah, it's fun. I certainly love sharing about what interior design is about, and just making sure that everybody knows that we're not scary and that everybody can afford us. Actually, you can't afford not to have a designer, because it's a huge investment. And to help someone, to help guide your investment is what we do at our best. We're not just, telling you about everything that's pretty, but we're educating you on the materials that are right for your home. So just spreading the word is what I'm about, and about dispelling some myths about interior design.
Absolutely. So Brick and Linen, Stillwater, Wyzetta.
That's right.
Just walk in, call you. What's the best way to interact with you?
So the best way probably is just to go to our website, where you can, if you're interested in design, we have an informative email that you can send out to us. I'll just share here, lisa@bricklinen.com. You can get a hold of me directly. And if you're working with Custom One, I'm going to be happy to see your face, hopefully.
Yeah, you do a ton of our work, so greatly appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys.
Lisa. David, how do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, probably through my website would be the best way to get in contact with me. We've got a full portfolio of our past work on the website, davidcharlesdesigns.com, and that's Charles with a Z. So check out our website. And, just in a final point, what I think is really important about working with a builder like Custom One Homes is the builder isn't necessarily the guy that's out there pounding the nails. That's what people generally think of as a builder. But a builder is really the person that's putting the team together and bringing all the right professionals to the table. Custom One, I think, does a great job of finding the industry's best professionals in each one of those disciplines, whether that be the electrician to the plumber to the drywall guy to the designers that are involved in the process. I think your team really deserves a lot of credit for pulling together those people that you've trusted over a lot of years that have done a good job for you in the past. They're proven. And they all work together. We've all worked as a team together for going on a long time now, and that
I think there's over 60 years of tenure in the industry between the three of us for sure.
And that's what makes the whole process tick, is knowing what to expect from each one of the disciplines that are involved in the process, and it's just really fun to work with this team.
Yeah, thanks, David.
Thank you.
I'd echo that. Lisa and David, both your firms have done hundreds of projects with us, and we love continuing that relationship, and you guys have impacted many people that come through the Custom One brand in a very positive way, so keep up the good work. Thanks for coming out to Roof to Curb today. It's been a joy, and we'll talk to you soon.